Most of the Facebook ads and Instagram ads videos on my channel are tutorials where I'm actually sitting at my computer, clicking the buttons, screen recording, showing you how to click and do everything. And I've got an entire Facebook ads playlist and an Instagram ads playlist with tons of videos like that. So make sure and check out my playlist. That's kind of how I built this channel. Is if you just go to my playlist, I have all my content, all my videos organized by topic into playlists. So Facebook and Instagram ads playlist, check those out. This video is going to be different than a lot of the videos in there. I wanted to just, I don't even have notes written down for this one. I just wanted to freestyle as best I can, as if I were talking to you directly one-on-one and you were asking me questions and I was giving you my advice and strategy and just overall approach to running Facebook ads. And when I say Facebook ads, know that it's interchangeable with Instagram ads as we go throughout this video, because you run Instagram ads from inside of Facebook ads. Facebook owns Instagram. So it's basically all the same thing. Really, the only difference is just when you're choosing your placements, where your ad gets shown, you choose Instagram instead of Facebook, or you can choose both, but it's all the same thing. So if I say one or the other, just take it as both. So I guess the first thing I could say strategy and approach wise is, look, it's amazing that with Facebook ads you are allowed to spend $1 or $5, actually have people see that ad and get some sort of feedback on if that ad worked or not. But one of the biggest mistakes not a mistake, it's just often that I see this, where people are trying to make Facebook ads work for them on $50, $100. I'm not saying that you can't find success with that, but I would much rather see, and you're going to have a much better chance at actually learning it and getting it to work for you, if you bring thousands to the table. And I know that's not the easiest thing to say, but if you have $50 and you just want to throw it at Facebook ads just to kind of start to dip your toe in the water, great. I love that. But if you want to actually learn it and make it a skill that you have and drive results, meaning make money, make profits with Facebook ads, you've got to come with some real money to throw at it, to learn, to fail, to succeed, to fail, to succeed, to test. And I'm going to talk more about how important testing is in a second with Facebook ads, but you got to have enough money. And part of that, at least for me, is be willing to lose it. So come up with a chunk of thousands, and 1,000, 3,000, within a few $1,000s, you should really be able should be able to learn some Facebook ads. Obviously there's different tiers, because spending $20 a day or $100 a day is very different than spending tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands a day. So there's different strategies at different tiers, but for the most part, you should when I first ran Facebook ads, I threw $1,000 of my own money into it. And that was enough for me to learn, not master it, but I learned it. I knew how to drive results, make profits, and was just able to keep doing that from there. So definitely make sure just don't, if you really want to learn it, think about it this way, you go to college to supposedly learn skills and information and knowledge that will set you on a career path for the rest of your life, to learn skills that can actually make you money. And you dedicate years and a bunch of money to that. But then when it comes to Facebook ads, where people have heard people are making real livings with Facebook ads, companies are really growing with Facebook ads. But then the approach is, well, let's throw $50 at it and see what happens. Or I spent $500 and nothing really happened, so Facebook ads don't work. No, Facebook ads do work. And if you want to actually figure it out and make it work for you, be aggressive, come with money, come with dedication, come with, I'm going to fail until I learn how to actually make this work. Because it's not a matter of if it works, it's just, can you make it work for you? And the way you have to do that is through first research and learning, then put all that into practice, look at the results, try again, look at the results, try again, and just continually be testing and trying to improve. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about testing for a second, because that needs to be your approach to Facebook ads. It's not a game of, can you think the hardest and do the most research up front to figure out what kind of ad you need to run creative wise and who you need to target, you figure all of that out through testing. So that's why you first need to have a chunk of money to actually be able to run those tests. Then you need to set those tests up and run them. And you need to run tests that, sure, some of it you can think of off the top of your head, like, oh, maybe I would try and target these people with this type of creative. But then also think of stuff that you wouldn't think of and try that, because it's literally a testing and a data game. It's throw out a bunch of different tests, get the data back, analyze what worked and what didn't, and then throw some more tests out and just keep doing that, constantly testing, constantly iterating and improving. And especially at the beginning, you don't know who you need to target, what creative you need to throw at them to get everything to convert and work and drive sales and profits for you. So you really just need to set up a ton of different tests. And I have a video that's called how to organize and structure your campaigns, ad sets, and ads. So if you want to see like how I actually go through and set all this up, I would definitely recommend looking at that video. But just for kind of like a basic approach when I'm getting started, like let's just say it's a new product that I'm testing, or it's a client that just brought me on to start running ads for their product or their service. The very first thing I'm going to do is just set up a campaign. Again, I'm not going to blow through all the different campaign types here. I explain that in other videos. So let's just say I'm selling a product on a website and I'm trying to make conversions. So we're going to use a conversion campaign. So what I like to do is start to set up a campaign, and then inside of that campaign, I'll have 5, 10 to 20 different ad sets. Each of those ad sets is different. Each of those ad set has different targeting. That's the first thing that I focus on, is targeting. So I have different targeting inside of each of those ad sets that I'm going to test. And then I use the same creative for all of those different ad sets, or maybe 2 different creatives. But the reason I focus on targeting first and only run one creative to all that targeting is because if you focus on the creative first without having found your audience, you can just consistently be running the best creative in the world to the wrong audience, and nothing is ever going to happen for you. But if you find the right audience first, if an audience that works, then you've already proven that this creative works and this audience works, and then you can throw a bunch of different types of creative at that audience, and then you can see which creatives work the best, having already proved that this audience is a good audience to be targeting. And so once you figure out audience first, you're targeting first, then is a good time to test a bunch of different creative and see which creatives perform better. But if your goal at the beginning is to just figure out which creative is best without really figuring out your audience, then you could be spending money on, like actors, filming, and I don't recommend that. I think most of the time we should just be grabbing an iPhone and filming with that, like just creating very low cost advertisements and creative. But it can add up, it can be costly, and especially if you're trying to test 3 to 5 to 10 different pieces of creative without ever having found your audience first, you're just going to be most likely throwing money down the drain. So when I'm first setting up my ad sets, it's all about different audiences. And I see people try and do different locations, different countries, different age ranges. And I actually, for like just right from the start, just very beginning testing, I don't really, unless it's like I know for sure it is location specific. Like if I'm selling something that's only local delivery in this area inside of a certain radius, then location targeting makes sense. But the thing that's so great about the internet is you can reach people all around the world that are interested in the same thing, or a country interested in the same thing. So as far as location, if it's something you can ship worldwide, I would just leave it open worldwide. If it's only like United States, then I'd narrow your location to United States. But the reason I don't think location is necessarily all that important at first, or age range or gender, is because Facebook will actually start to figure that stuff out for you. So I would recommend testing interests first. So detailed targeting, interest targeting, and behavior targeting, working on finding your audience through those. And then once you've let those ads run for a little bit, and so let's say you're getting some conversions, you can actually just click into your ads and see, okay, is it women or men that are buying, that are making the most conversions, or that are making me the most money? Is it 25 to 35 year olds? Is it 55 and up? You can just click in and see all that data after the fact. So, and what I see people do is like they'll just choose one interest, or they won't choose any interest at all, but they'll choose they'll set up like 3 different age ranges, and then they'll set up like 9 different locations, and those are the things that they're testing. You're not really testing different, like, what people are interested in. You're literally just testing different age ranges. So it's much like the thing that's so powerful about Facebook. One of the things is that you can actually target people based off of what they like or based off of recent purchase behavior and things like that. So basically, to sum up everything I just said, I create a bunch of different ad sets, all with the same ad, the same creative, and what I'm testing and what I'm changing in each of those ad sets is the detailed targeting, the interests and the behaviors. And here's another little tip. At the beginning, I don't like to include a bunch of different interests in the same ad set. I typically only like to test one interest in each ad set, or maybe I'll do one interest narrowed through one other interest, but that's kind of the most that I'll do for initial testing. And the reason that I don't like to do that is because if you compile 5, 10, 20 different interests onto the same ad set, you could be including interests that don't work for you. And then let's say that it does work, you don't know which one of those interests your conversions are actually coming from. So I like to say first test interest individually, different behaviors individually. And then once you've found some that do work and do convert, then you can start to compile those into the same ad set. And I'm sorry if this is all kind of scattered. I'm just freestyling this here. But that's the same kind of approach I take with CBO, which is campaign budget optimization, which means that when you set up your campaigns, so what I was just talking about, how I set up all those different ad sets, I don't like to use CBO at the beginning because what CBO does is it sets your budget at the campaign level and then distributes how it sees fit the budget throughout all your different ad sets. So if Facebook wants to, and I've seen this happen a bunch of times, it can just continually, say you've got 10 different ad sets, it can just feed your budget to one ad set even if it's not converting, and then all your other 9 aren't really getting tested. And so I want to set up different tests. I want to find audiences that work, and so I want those ad sets that I set up to be thoroughly tested. So I like to set my budgets at the ad set level and not at the campaign level at first. But again, just like I explained with once you found some interest at work, then compile them. I think the same way about ad sets and campaign budget optimization. Once you've found some ad sets that work, then I think that's a good time to compile them, which kind of is just a way of saying give that campaign a campaign set a campaign budget optimization on that campaign. So then Facebook at that point is now choosing how to distribute your money to ad sets that it already has data on and data that proves that these ads already work. So hopefully that makes sense. I think it's just a much smarter way to go, save you money, and if you're saving money running ads, then you're essentially making more money. So far we've got our campaign set up with a bunch of different ad sets inside of the campaign. We're running the same ad to all of those ad sets. Inside of those ad sets, we've got a bunch of different audiences that we're testing, and those audiences we're talking about interest and detailed targeting. And then we've got our budget set at the ad set level so that each one of those will be thoroughly tested. And then I guess here's a good time to talk about how much you should give each ad. So the way that I look at this is I like to give it break even in a day. In a 24-hour period, I like to give it my break even point. So if I'm selling a $40 product and I know if I spend $20 on that, then I broke even, then I want to give my ad at least $20 that day. And the reason for that is because it could spend $10 and make a sale and I will have made $10 in profit, right? But then if it starts to go above that and I turn it off, then I could have, let's say I spend $15, I could have just lost $15. But if I waited until it spent $17, then I could have made $3. So I like to at least, I'll even occasionally maybe even let some ads actually lose a little bit of money just to see if a sale will kick in. But definitely testing at the beginning, I like to let it go to the break-even point. So let's say at $20, that's my break-even. If I start spending above that without a sale, I start to lose money. So I'll try and give each ad set $20, and I'll let it spend that full $20 before I turn it off. Hopefully before then, hopefully within a few bucks, $5, $10, a sale has happened. But if it hasn't, I'm still going to wait. I'm going to give it the full 20 because if a sale can happen even up till there, I've at least made my money back. And that whole time, Facebook's gathering data and getting smarter. And here's the main thing that you really want to do at the beginning. And I'm going to start to talk a little bit about how we can start to scale up now. And what that means is just like, okay, you've got, some initial tests. Say you're spending $100 a day, whatever, getting a few sales a day. Just not really being specific with numbers here, but scaling means that you're spending X amount of money, making X amount of sales. Well, you want to make more sales, and you want to make as many as possible, which means you need to spend more on ads. So spend more on ads and getting more sales is what I mean by scaling. So your main goal from the very beginning should be to run some tests to get some conversions, and then as soon as that's happening, the next thing you want to happen is get to like couple hundred conversions as quickly as you can, because you want to be able to start creating lookalike audiences. And I'll explain what that is, I guess, right now. So a lookalike audience is basically like once you've got a couple hundred, let's just go with that, or a lot more people that have purchased from you from the same country, then you can tell Facebook to look at those people and say, hey, Facebook, create me an audience, find me more people just like these people, create me an audience of them, and then I'm going to run ads to that audience. And the reason that that's so effective is because if Facebook can look at the data on these people, find you a huge audience of people very similar to those people, then it's really likely that if you run your ad to that new audience, that new lookalike audience, you'll get conversions and a lot more sales. Way more that in theory, and it does work this way, that should be way more effective than just interest targeting, detailed targeting, running your ads to cold audiences. And one thing that I like to do is create as many lookalike audiences as frequently as I can and just constantly be testing lookalike audiences. I even like to get to the point where I'm more focused on testing lookalike audiences than I am interest or detailed targeting. And then you can also, once you've already honed in on your detailed targeting that works, your interests, behaviors, age ranges, gender, stuff like that, then you can apply all that inside of your lookalike audiences. Not that you have to. If you've got enough data and your ad's good and everything, you can even just run, like once you can create a lookalike audience, you can just run your ad straight to the lookalike audience without even any targeting at all and still get some good sales, and that might work perfectly fine for you. But then also throwing in your detailed targeting that you figured out that already works is also a really smart thing to put inside, or to narrow your lookalike audience through. And so as soon as there's enough data for me to create a first lookalike audience, I do that. I do a 1%, 3%, 5%, just create like 3 or 4 different, probably like 3. I'll probably create like 3 different lookalike audiences. And also another thing that I do is just create even just a 1% lookalike audience, but create a new one 2, 3 different times. So you're just creating 3 different 1% audiences, and each time Facebook's going to find you a little bit different of an audience, and then run an ad and test those audiences, those 3 different lookalike audiences, and see which ones work. So that's kind of how I approach lookalike audiences. And then as soon as there's more data, meaning I've made more sales, more conversions, like another couple hundred conversions or whatever, maybe even 50. At 50 more, I'll try it. But then go in and create another lookalike audience. And then there's a few different ways you can actually set up your lookalike audiences, and I think it's good to test all of them. So like for example, you can, if you have your email list of your customers, you can upload that to Facebook and create a lookalike based off of uploading the customer list. Or if you have the pixel on your website, which should, I guess we haven't covered the pixel, I might talk about that more in a second. But then you can just tell Facebook to look at all the purchases that have been made on your website and create a lookalike audience off of that. So it looks at your Facebook pixel data on your website to build a lookalike audience, or you can upload an email list that it matches to people on Facebook. You can create a lookalike audience off of that. I think testing both of those strategies is good. The last time I tested that, I actually saw uploading the email list work better, which I kind of think maybe the website data could work better, but then also, like, if you've got traffic running through your Instagram or your Facebook page, you can go create, and this is one that I've seen be extremely effective. As long as there's data on the Instagram profile, like it's had some traffic and some reach over the past while or whatever, if you go into, and it's related to whatever it is that you're selling, if you create lookalike audiences, custom audiences based off of your Instagram data, so you can do like people who follow you, people who have interacted with your profile in the past year or whatever, like just there's several different options in there, but I've seen that work really well. If the Instagram profile is related and has data, creating audiences custom and lookalike off of your Instagram data, that can work really well. So that's all. I think that kind of covers everything for lookalike. Pixel, by the way, is just what you're going to need in order to track everything. So you need to make sure, like, if you're selling something and you can't, like, Like I had someone, this was I think just last week, who was trying to run Facebook ads, but is trying to do it through Vimeo. I was like selling a course on Vimeo, and you can't place the pixel on Vimeo. So basically, he wants to run ads, but he can't track conversions through like Facebook. So it makes it really hard to figure out if your ads are profitable, which ads are working, which ones are not. It just makes the whole testing thing a lot harder. You can be profitable, and there are some more roundabout ways to figure it out, but man, the pixel is like my advice. What I was trying to get at is my advice to him was, dude, ditch Vimeo and figure out a different site where you can place the pixel so you can actually track everything, because that's going to matter so much if you're trying to actually build this business and grow it and like have it turn into some real money. You need to 100% be able to track things. So pixel is super important. It's really easy to install. I've got videos on that. You literally just copy and paste a string of numbers into the back end of your website. But that allows you to track everything. It allows you to create custom audiences and lookalike audiences based off of people that have visited your website, based off of people that have added to cart, based off of people that have initiated checkouts, based off of people that have purchased, all sorts of different things. And those are a couple really good ones. So like if people have added to your cart or initiated checkout but didn't actually make the purchase, you can then set up what's called retargeting campaigns, where you can create audiences, custom audiences of people who added to cart or people who initiated checkout, or both, and then target those people again, and just kind of as like a nudge to get them to go finish the checkout. Because sometimes people just get distracted or forget or needed to go check something, like, and so that's oftentimes creating those little retargeting audiences based off of who's been visiting your website and adding to cart and stuff like that can be extremely effective. But the only way you can do that stuff is with the pixel installed. So that's why I really recommend that you use a website where you can just easily install the pixel so that you don't have to find a bunch of roundabout ways to really track things. All right, I got to run right here pretty quick, but I'll try and just drop a couple more things here. So let's talk scaling and duplicating. And I think that actually will wrap this up pretty well. So scaling. So everything I just laid out, let's assume you're getting some conversions, then you're able to create some lookalikes. Now you're really in a spot where it's like, if you're making conversions, you're creating lookalikes, your lookalikes are converting, you're most likely really in a spot where all you most likely need to do at this point is just spend more money on your ads, because you figured it all out, you know what works, and literally just every dollar you put in is going to make you 4 or 10 or 20 back. So it's just more dollars in, get more back. So you really just need to figure out how to put more dollars in. And it's, don't do this. If you have an ad that's working, don't click edit and go to the budget section and change it from $20 to $100 a day and click publish. Do not do that. It's super annoying and frustrating. Oh, and then also I'll touch on like getting suspended and shut down real fast. But it's really annoying because Facebook has become, over the years, very finicky, very fragile, honestly. Like it's kind of a little bit of a joke even. But when it comes to, so I guess I'll get back to the scaling in a second, but with the suspensions and stuff, that's another thing, because Facebook is so finicky and fragile and they just get butthurt really easily. Make sure you've read up on your policies, like really like look into the policies and all that, and do your best to abide by them, because even if you are, you're still likely to get flagged for something. Like it just seems to always happen. And just know that left and right all the time people are having Facebook accounts shut down for no good reason at all, and it's very difficult to get them back, if you can even ever get them back at all. So just a warning there, like that happens often. Sometimes it's right, like sometimes the person trying to run ads screwed something up and they deserve it, but I think probably maybe even more often than not, there's like, just because it's algorithms and bots trying to catch and shut stuff down, and then there's not really a live person you can contact to help you get, so it's just like, it's a whole nightmare. But that happens. You're gonna, like, it's very likely that you'll see some ads get disapproved, get rejected for policy violations or whatever. And if you see that happen a few times, not a big deal, but try and like clean that up and make that, you can get away with a little bit of those. But if you like just continuously keep getting your ads rejected, then you can get your account shut down, and then also you can get your account shut down just for all sorts of other things. So just a heads up there, and a couple tips. But when it comes to scaling, when you try to start to spend more money, it can be difficult because it's really kind of frustrating. But Facebook can kind of pick that up as scammy or whatever. But so you kind of got to be careful. You can't just be necessarily spending, like $100 a day and just be like, all right, I'm gonna spend $10,000 a day now, or be spending $5 a day and be like, all right, I'm spending $500 a day now. So once you have locked in targeting that works, targeting that converts, ads that convert, then you do want to start to spend more money, but you need to be a little bit careful about it. I like to see people be a bit aggressive, but do just be like a little bit careful here. And the way I think, so a couple different ways to scale, but kind of one of the main ways I like to do is like, if you've got an ad set that's working, just duplicate it, and in the duplicate, increase the daily budget. So that's one way to scale. And you can duplicate into a new campaign. You can duplicate into the same campaign. That's just more a question of how you want to organize things. But that's one way to increase how much you're spending, is just duplicate the ad set, increase the budget in the duplicate, and then click publish. And you can even, and then another way to do it, so that's called vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling is where you just create, say you're spending $20 a day on the ad set, just create 4 duplicates and don't change anything, just click publish, and now you'll have 5 ad sets spending $20 a day. So now you just scale to spending $100 a day. And I like that one a lot as well. Maybe I even use that one more often. But what I like to do is, like, if you do that, duplicate at least 3, because 1 or 2 out of the 3 will work and 1 or 2 won't. So don't expect just because 1 worked and you duplicated it 5 times, all those new 5 duplicates are just going to work perfectly. That's not the case. You always got to go and look at the data, see what's working and what's not. But the idea is that you duplicate 3, 1 or 2 work, and you just let those continue to run. And then also, duplicating into your lookalike audiences and then increasing budgets that way. And then also touched on it a little bit earlier, but again, once you found some ad sets that are working, then I would even recommend just duplicating all of them into a new campaign and having that new campaign be a CBO campaign. So your budget is set at the campaign level instead of the ad set level now, but only on ad sets that have already been proven to convert and work and are duplicates of the original ones that worked. And then what I would say with that is, like, if you want each ad set to have like $20 a day and you've got 5 ad sets in there, then I would say your campaign level budget should probably be like $100, something like that. So kind of look at it that way. Oh, and then the other way you can scale and increase how much money you're making is finding better ad creative. So if you've already found audiences that are working, you've been running an ad to that audience, that's been working. Well, if you can come up with a better ad creative, you could see that that improves your ROAS, which we haven't really talked about, but that's your return on ad spend. That's how much you want. That's going to be a number that indicates, and I've got videos that talk about that more, so go check that out. But ROAS is basically going to tell you how much money you're making. And so just simply changing your ad creative, putting a better ad creative in there, could increase your ROAS quite a bit. Even just changing the headline on your ad could increase your ROAS quite a bit. So that's I think I basically just laid it all out, guys. That's how to set up your initial testing, find stuff that converts, build off of that, create lookalikes, start to scale money-wise using duplicates and CBO, and then just keep doing that and continue to get more conversions, build bigger and better lookalike audiences, build up that pixel data, better ad creative, and then from there just keep that machine running and improving. And really the only other thing that I'd like to throw in here, just tip of advice, is this isn't Facebook ads necessarily, but through Facebook ads, you're going to hopefully be collecting a bunch of emails from people. And I think it's really smart to, yes, retarget them on Facebook, but also retarget them in their inbox, their email inbox. So have a little email system set up where, the emails you're collecting off of Facebook, you're emailing them through their email. And it's just another way you can reach them. You can reach them directly. You don't have to spend, advertising money on that. You got to pay for the email service, but it's basically like a free way of reaching people with another ad and pushing them back to your website and making more sales that way. And you can actually make that can actually be a significant revenue stream. You can create a significant revenue stream that way without having to spend any more on ads. So yeah, there's how to set up and scale Facebook and Instagram ads. Have some fun.